Hi. I want to share a few thoughts today with you on the idea of love. More specifically, the word that's used for this kind of love, the kind of love that God has for us, is the word agape. Agape is not a feeling, it's not a sentiment. It has more to do with valuing or esteeming or ascribing worth to. So if I say I love something in an agape sense, it means that I value it in a huge way. My estimate of it is very high. It's worth something to me. That's the idea of agape. The agape that Christ had for me was such a powerful entity in his life that he gave his life for me on Calvary. He died for me. That's the greatest kind of love. To Christ, I am highly significant. He proved that. To Christ, I have extreme value. I love the words in Ephesians chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. It says this: follow God's example, therefore, as dearly loved children or highly valued children. Follow God's example as dearly loved or highly valued children and walk in the way of love. We could also use the word honor there. I have a place of honor in the heart of Christ. Just as Christ loved us, or esteemed us, or valued us, and gave himself up for us as a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God. So to Christ, I am highly significant. I am the Lord's prize and treasure. His love for me is such that he gave himself up for me, a remarkable act on my behalf that became celebrated. Ephesians 5 verse 2 calls it a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God. The sacrifice of Christ was a fragrant offering, a sacrifice to God. It was a beautiful thing. It was an incredible work. My welfare and my advantage were his strongest motivator. To Christ, I am highly significant and have extreme value. But also, a second understanding of agape love is found in this. So I said, first of all, to Christ, I am highly significant and have extreme value. But also, now that I have been placed in Christ, Christ is in me, I have been placed in him, I have high value. I am in Christ highly significant and have extreme value. You see the switch that takes place? Because he loved me, I become like he is in love. So in Christ, I carry extreme value. My place in the world in Christ is a most essential one. I am a critical, important member of my society. I am an essential worker in my society. I am essential to my society. If I did not exist, my world would not be the same. My place in the world is a most essential place. My place in my home is critical to its function and its direction. The influence that I have with my friends is a matter of life and death to them. I am in Christ. I am highly significant and have extreme value. I am needed in my world because Christ is in me. I am needed in my society. And by the way, no act that I do, no matter how trivial it might be or how minor the role that I fulfill, that I occupy, no act is trivial, and no role is minor. Because Ephesians chapter 2 verse 6 says this, "And God raised us up with Christ and seated us with him in the heavenly realms in Christ Jesus." Seated us with Christ in the heavenly realms in Christ Jesus. That means a lot of things. But today I just want to focus on just this one thought. That in Christ I am seated. I am rather seated in the heavenly realms in Christ. This seat is a seat of love. And the seat of love from which I rule my enemies and forgive those who offend me. I am seated in the place of authority, the place from which I help the weak and supply wealth to the poor, because I have become rich in his wealth. You see, to Christ, I am highly significant and have extreme value. But here, seated in Christ, in the heavenly realms with Christ, in Christ, I am highly significant and have extreme value. The seat where I sit with Christ is the seat of compassion from which I am led into new ventures that make many people whole and strong again. Because I live, because I love, because I have the love of Christ in me, the love of Christ is dispersed and dispensed to people around me wherever I go. In this place, my Father is the source of all that I am. I can forgive because he is my forgiveness. I can give because he is my giver. And I can be strong because he is my power from on high. In Christ. To Christ, I am significant. In Christ, I am significant. Hope these thoughts are a blessing to you today. God bless you as you go and you live out of who you are in Christ.